You're listening to episode 208 of PHP Ugly, your weekly dose of grumpy developers complaining
Grumpy.
about their life and coding. And I need a better opening. What can I
Who's
say? I'm your
complaining?
host, Eric Van Johnson, and with me, John Congdon.
Hello, hello.
And the man working behind the curtains nowadays, Thomas Rideout.
Hello. Ah.
I think Thomas has gotten too excited about running OBS. Like he doesn't even want to be part of the show
No.
anymore. He just wants to do
That
OBS.
has completely worn off. I had a dream last night that we were doing the podcast and I had neglected to do any of the transitions I was supposed to do. And
Good man. See, I like
we got
that.
all the way to the end of the podcast and somebody said, "Hey, how come you're not doing the cool transition stuff anymore?" And I went, "Oh no." And I woke up in a cold sweat.
But were you crying at the same time?
It's been a hard week. I think it's been a hard week for everybody.
That's why you have to upgrade.
Oh, nice.
You got to go
Sierra
with the
Nevada.
beer.
I too am drinking a vegan beer.
Nice.
Is this a birthday beer? Birthday boy?
No.
It is. Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday.
John Congdon.
Thank you. No, friends of the show, Linda and Ben, commented 2 weeks ago when I was drinking a Truly on the show
Also
because
vegan.
I had a margarita before the show, so I was good to go. I just wanted a little something extra, so I had that, and they noticed on stream that I was drinking a Truly, and
Got
called
upset.
me out for it.
So the Trulies though are very deceptive. That's a 5% alcohol drink. It is more than a Coors Light or a Bud.
Yeah, but when you're talking to me, I'm used to drinking 8 to 10 plus percent
That's
beers,
true.
so it truly really is like
Beers.
5%. I kind of like, okay, it's
It sparkles when it hits my tongue.
something. I went golfing this past weekend.
Really?
And I didn't realize Budweiser had a sparkling, a hard sparkling.
Well, yeah,
cider.
everyone
I'm not-
does
or
now because it's like the
alcohol.
easiest thing in the world to make.
I didn't know this. My brother-in-law was like, "Hey, do you have any sparkling, any of the hard sparkling water?" And she's like, "I have Budweiser." And I'm like, "Okay, it's 110 degrees, and we just want something kind of
Right.
mellow." So
Well,
it worked.
earlier this year, Corona came out with their sparkling drink, and they had to quickly pull all of their marketing material and change it because it said "catch a Corona."
Only 19 calories.
No one wants to catch a Corona right now.
Not even if it only has 19 calories.
How was everybody's week, John? Let's start with you. How was your week?
Why me? As usual, ups and downs. Things can be really good one day and horrible the next. So I had a great week when it comes to testing. When I get to write unit tests and things go well, I love it. Getting to review some code where I can give advice on testing has been nice. I feel like I'm learning more every day. Then you get to Thursdays, and while it ends great because we get to do our show, it's Wednesday night is release time for Phone Burner, so we get to Thursday and 8 a.m. I'm right at it. I'm getting phone calls this morning from my wife's father, my father, right at 8 o'clock, and I have to silence like, nope, sorry, can't take these calls because, of course, something went wrong in the release, and we're fighting fires right away. But that's part of development, I guess. How about you guys?
How about you, Thomas?
Boy, I have been working on my Laravel 8 upgrade still. working on a lot of horrendous Webpack issues. I've got an issue where I've got hundreds of SAS files that all need to be handled individually. It's not just, one page, one file for a whole site. I've got some pages that need their own SAS file compiled, and I mean, we're talking 45 minutes for it to run production.
But why is the upgrade to Laravel 8 affecting your SAS
Because
files?
Elixir is pulled. We were using Gulp, and we've been wanting to upgrade from Gulp to Mix, but now we're required to.
But even still, it shouldn't affect your SAS files.
Well, no, it's Gulp ran through hundreds of SAS files just fine. It's Laravel Mix or Webpack that's having trouble being told to handle them all at once. I ended up writing a script that broke it up using arguments. So, chunk 1, chunk 2, chunk 3, like that. And I'm now compiling my SAS files like that in chunks. And as I say that, I'm realizing my mix manifest might get broken because of that.
I'm still confused because all Webpack is at that point is a gateway to the SAS compiler, right?
Yeah. So it looks like the Node SAS compiler has issues or is not being loaded correctly in Mix. Normally, you would say, SAS compiler, compile these 3 into one file. But it looks like what Laravel Mix is doing is loading all the files at once into a single instance of SAS, and it's causing some kind of issue. It's either loading up the memory or the swap file is one thing I've read. You have to have a huge swap file if you've got a lot of SAS files. But it's a bug that's documented pretty well in the Laravel Mix GitHub issues, but no one is actually taking it seriously. So
is the issue really time? It's really just slow to compile, or is there an actual issue with the output?
It's just 45 minutes to compile, and that's causing issues with our deployment chain. So our servers aren't finishing their deployments on time. And, when we deploy upwards of 10 times a day sometimes, that's not going to work for us. So, yeah, it's...
You're actually deploying to production 10 times a day?
Sometimes.
How do you do that when you don't unit test?
Yes.
I'm fascinated by this.
That's why they do it, because they don't unit test.
But
because
no.
It's usually very small things. It's not the it's not the core code base that's getting changed. It's things like small style changes, or things being in the wrong order, or unit tests would help, but as I was told earlier today,
they help
priorities...
until they take 45 minutes to run, and then you're trying to get something out the door
that
quick.
Shouldn't happen. When I run it in my chunked mode that I wrote a Laravel command for, it runs in, I would say, 7 minutes. So
still, that's a lot just for SAS.
Yeah, it's way too much. It's clearly the result of a bug in Mix.
Eric, how about you?
Yeah, I'll get into me. Do we want to take a second? Can one of you guys listen to the stream? We don't have anybody really watching us live. Well, a couple people watching us live now, but I'm not thinking. I don't think I'm hearing Thomas.
Oh boy!
I don't know.
Let me pull it up.
Yeah, you're like half the volume of John that whole time.
Yeah.
Test 1 2.
Yeah, Eric and I sound like we're the same volume.
Mm-hmm.
Let's crank myself.
Yeah, at the test now.
There we go. How about 5 decibels?
You need more. You need more. If you're just tuning in, we appreciate you watching. This is all the stuff that gets cut out of the audio podcasts. We're fiddling around with Thomas's mic right now, trying to get him at the same volume as us. He's a bit quiet for me, but not unhearable.
Test 1 2.
That's better.
Let's go a little bit higher than that even. Let's go up to 15. 15.
Yeah, getting closer. It's funny because everything's on a delay. So when we're all being quiet, we're waiting for the delay to catch up so we can hear it. Apologize. Hey, Buttery, you get your stuff yet?
Okay. I think that's good.
It's definitely better than it was. So, I feel like you're still lower than Eric and I are, but it was way better. Oh, there you go.
You guys are way ahead of me.
Yeah, it sounds good now.
I think that the gain on on my hardware is a little more sensitive than I expect it to be.
Well, that's how it is for John and I. Like, there's like this range on these hardware. What are we having here? The Scarlett?
Yes.
And it's like there's this like little section that you just turn a little to the right, it's too loud. A little to the left, it's too quiet. All right.
So how was your week, Eric?
Oh, Buttery! Hold on, Buttery. Yeah. Okay. There's so many things I want to talk about. I don't know where to start. So first thing, we got Buttery Crumpets live with us in chat, and he says he got his swag. I'll send you a pic when I take a good one on the weekend. Cool, man. I am very excited. I'm so happy he got to you. I was a little stressed. I don't know why. They're just, you saw it's not anything special, but I just wanted to make sure it got to you. I just wanted to make sure you understood how much we appreciate just you being around for all this time. It's a big deal to us. We thank you. My week, I'm loving life, man. I enjoy what I do for a living, and it's a blast, man. I had a little bit of a project this week, which had me dive into JavaScript a little bit. I got to manipulate the DOM around a little. I enjoy that. I mean, that's like the one piece of JavaScript I like. I like manipulating the DOM. That was fun. But, yeah, I mean, nothing too exciting. Just normal coding stuff. I'm getting a lot of feedback. Do you guys care if I talk about the System 76 machine more? Because
go for it.
I get a lot of people asking me about that.
No, go for it.
No, I want to hear more.
So, again, not a sponsor, paid full price, full retail for this. This is nothing. So I'm free to talk about it however I feel.
But if you want to sponsor the episode, I could use a machine.
Yes.
Just saying.
We're not stopping.
The same goes for car reviews. If you want to give us a Mercedes or something like that, we would absolutely cover that for a whole episode.
Private plane trips. I mean, we'll do those.
Those can get you into trouble now. People's names are showing up on private plane lists. I don't think that's good.
That's true. So System 76 machine, it's a love-hate thing. I've been using it full time ever since I first got it a few weeks ago. I worked with Thomas this week a little bit. We figured out the Skype. So the Skype issue I've been having is the overarching biggest problem I have right now. I've worked through a lot of things. I finally gave up on my desktop going to sleep mode. And this, again, I've
Yeah,
never had
that doesn't
a
work
lot
in
of
Linux.
successes. Well, it doesn't work anywhere. I've never my Windows machine years ago. My Macs, everything in sleep mode doesn't ever seem to work correctly. Linux is horrible, so I finally gave up on that, which resolved a lot of my graphics issue because I was having the issue when it would wake up from sleep mode. Um, it was certain windows wouldn't paint back in, and you basically had to shut everything down and start everything back up. It was a waste of time. So I mean, the screens turn off. It just doesn't go in. Just doesn't suspend anymore. So I'm okay with that. It's not that big of a deal to me. My biggest issue right now is just the audio issues. I'm constantly putting my Bluetooth headphones on and taking them off. I'm in and out of meetings. I listen to my music through speakers. Um, and for whatever reason, every time I do that transition, all my settings go out of whack. The headphones don't switch over correctly. It tries to take over the mic and the headphones, which is the problem we were having with Skype. Thomas figured it out that the Bose actually go into another mode when it thinks it needs to act as the mic and headphones. And
You can usually hear that though. At least I can. When my mic is activated on the Bose, the sound is just different.
well, on these, it's only done it with the Linux machine. It even says call from, and I kept wondering, I'm like, why is this thing call from? I'm not on a call with anybody, and that was like an indication that it was in this call mode.
And it's very possible that Bluetooth 4 doesn't sound different anymore when it's in that mode.
Yeah. And that's not even the biggest problem. The biggest problem is when I go to take them off, it doesn't return my audio settings to where it was before they were activated. So it doesn't put my speakers back to the setting it was on beforehand. It randomly picks a one of my display monitors, which I'm not using for my speakers, and it switches off my mic again and it actually goes to something else. And so every time I go transition my Bluetooth headphones, I have to go into my sound settings and change these. And on the Mac, I used to have it so that I could hit I think it was the Apple key and click the speaker, and I could actually switch my mics and outputs right there. And I see that in snapshots of people's desktops doing that, but I can't figure out how to do it on Pop OS, and it's driving me nuts because it really sucks. That's my biggest problem right now. There's a couple of kooky things.
The other problem that you had last week that we resolved was the Flatpak stuff. Things that you were getting from Flatpak were unable to access the second mounted hard drive that you had, and we figured out that is a permissions thing specific to Flatpak, and there is a Flatpak configuration GUI that you can get that'll get that all fixed up for you. Or in this instance, you were using PHP Storm from Flatpak, and we switched from that to using the JetBrains toolbox, which keeps everything up to date on its own.
I didn't even realize JetBrains had a toolbox for Linux. That was an awesome find in itself. And in hindsight, I noticed I came to the realization. I'm sure this is one of the benefits of Flatpaks, but when I go to install Flatpak, I don't have to put in my password. I don't have to tell the system, yeah, it's okay to install this application like I do when I do an apt-get install. You have to sudo apt-get install, whatever it is, or apt install and install something. Flatpaks, you don't have to do that.
Is it because it's running kind of like Brew does on Mac?
Yeah, I assume it lives in that user land layer of that individual user. I I think it's because it's all self-contained, including all its dependencies. It doesn't share any of the system resources, so it's just installed for whoever that user is. I'm assuming. I don't know, Thomas. Do you know more of that?
I don't really understand the Flatpak environment that well. I've only tinkered in it for a really short period of time.
Yeah, so I've been kind of shying away from Flatpaks a little bit, just going with system installs. As I mentioned before, there are certain apps that tell you, "Hey, we're not supporting this anymore. You have to switch to Flatpak."
Yeah.
I forget which one it was.
Audacity, I think, is like that.
There's certain apps that are forcing you to, and that's fine. I'm fine doing that, but yeah, I did come across something cool today, and I don't know. I mean, I'm even willing to share my screen. I think you guys would like some of the stuff, but it was cool for a little bit, and I stopped doing it. One of my favorite things on the Mac is I had an app running called Better Snap, and it just allowed me to move my windows around from screen to screen, and move them to one side or the other. And I think a lot of OSs do this by default. I think Windows does it by default.
Well, actually, Windows
also does
Windows has the copyright on that, or the patent on that. So other OSs that are doing it are either licensing it or doing it differently enough that it doesn't violate Microsoft's copyright. But the whole half window thing is owned outright by Microsoft.
That's interesting. So Pop has that. It allows you to do the half window thing, which works pretty well. But today, so Pop has what it's called tile mode, and essentially what it does is it finds a spot on all your monitors for all the applications you have open. For me, that doesn't work. I have way too many apps work, and I end up with windows like this big. You can move them around. So I haven't been a big fan of the tiling mode. I think it's really more directed towards laptops, but again, not a big fan of it. But recently they released what's called stack mode. Now that was an interesting concept. So what you can do in stack mode is you can define certain windows as a stack, and then you can attach windows to that stack. The really cool thing about it, and this is true regardless of the stacks or the tiles or just the windows in general, is you can move everything around with your keyboard. So I can resize my windows and move them around just with my keyboards now. I'm starting to learn those keyboard shortcuts. Stack mode was very interesting for a long time. I'm like, you know what? I think I like this. I actually had on my my window that's horizontal. I had it half and half. Had a stack on the right, a stack on the left, and then my vertical window, I had one stack on top and then two small stacks at the bottom. And on my vertical, on one stack, I would have all my communication, and I was organizing things in different stacks, and it was very nice. I'm like, you know what? I think this is it. I think I want to stick with this for a while, and I was really excited to show you guys it. Then my system went to sleep. It didn't suspend. The monitors turned off. Monitors turned back on, and it's in tile mode again, and everything, like all my stacks are blown away. I'm like, fuck you! So yeah, I abandoned stacks. I liked them. I liked the concept, and I'd be interested to do it, to use it, but it's got to stay persistent for me. I can't spend 15 minutes reorganizing all my monitors and my apps again. So that's that. I do think that this weekend I finally come to the conclusion that I need to set my Kinesis keyboard back to Windows mode. So the biggest difference in Windows mode, and it's in a Mac configuration now. I know watching the audio podcast you can't see this, but these two this key and this key are the Apple key, which are the super keys in Mac. In Windows mode, those are the control keys. Now, this is important. This is one of the dilemmas that I have not worked through yet. And I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to work through. It never occurred to me. It's been so long, it never occurred to me. As big of a Vim user as I am, as big of a keyboard person as I am, in the Mac world, the Apple key is king. Apple key does a lot of the system stuff. It does your copy, your paste, your cuts. A lot of the stuff you do through your Apple key. This worked out very well for a Vim guy, right? Because I use my control key a lot in Vim for different things. Never even occurred to me. I'm using PHP Storm, and I'm getting accustomed to having to use the control button to do certain things, like copy and paste and things like that. So in the Windows world and in the Linux world, the control key is the central key for a lot of your functionality. And I'm in PHP Storm, and I go to do a control paste, it said, oh no, I can't do that. Your control V is mapped to a Vim action. I'm like, holy shit, that's right. Control V is how you do the multi-cursor select sort of thing in Vim. I'm like, God damn it, that's right. That is holy crap, so is Control C. Wait a minute. Like, all my control freaking keys in Vim now are part of the Windows system. How am I going to do this? So I need to figure out a workaround for that. I don't know what that's going to be right now, but that's an issue for me. You guys, you're not supposed. The control key is for Vim. Why are you guys using it for everything else? That's not what it's there for. You bastards.
This is another episode
I've never touched the control
another
key.
episode of Vim Ugly.
I rarely use the control key.
Really? Even in Vim, you don't use control key?
I rarely use Vim anymore. I use Vim mode within PHP Storm, but I just don't use the control key. I'm trying to think of
interesting.
Would I use it? I just don't.
Yep. Well, I've got an interesting warning to give you guys this week. Somebody noticed that there are new keywords in PHP 8, new reserved words, such as match, and that these were not deprecated in the previous version of PHP, and therefore will not throw a warning when you upgrade to PHP 8. They will throw a fatal error, a fatal exception.
Is it just me, or is that a weird transition?
That's Thomas saying, Eric, we've talked about
Vim enough for another week.
I've got cards and Trello I want to talk about.
I'm like, wait, how did
hard cut.
Okay, now I'm on the same page. Okay, we're now talking about PHP 8. Gotcha.
Yes. Well, so PHP 8 is available for test now. RC1 is out and ready for people to use, I guess. Not used in production, of course, just used for testing and prepping and all that kind of fun stuff. But the warning that goes along with it is that if you have classes named match, that's going to be a problem.
It seems to be a very common, very likely scenario.
Yeah, it does. When I first saw this on Reddit, I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal, but then realizing how many people wrote a match class to handle string comparisons and things like that.
If you wrote a match class, oh well, I guess namespacing wouldn't even matter, right? Because it's part of PHP core. Yeah, that's an issue.
So expect that one to come up relatively quickly, because with no time, I mean, we should have a year of deprecation notice for new keywords like this, and we just didn't. And it didn't.
Sorry.
It didn't occur to me.
Not affecting me from what I see. Were there others, or was that the big one?
That's the big one. Let me pull up the Reddit page here real quick. Match is the one that I saw. Mixed was soft reserved, but is now a keyword. There's a new date format that will now that was added. So in previous versions, the P date format will be a string literal. That's bad for backward compatibility. And apparently the final attribute syntax can break hash comments. I don't know if that's not an actual issue though. But match is definitely going to be an issue.
Yeah. Hopefully
and
not.
Laravel's router has a method called match, which is going to have to be renamed. So you're looking at core level Laravel changes having to happen because of this.
Well, it's a facade, though, right? Is it route : match?
It's still a reserved keyword.
And facades are just a wraparound for an actual object, which is a whole nother story.
We don't talk about that here.
Don't worry. It'll be released in 8.0.6. Don't worry.
It is an interesting conundrum for Laravel because it's going to be a breaking change if they have to change the router for this, and that requires a major version number, which he just
That's
released.
What I said. Don't worry, it'll be 8.06.
But that's not Semver.
Neither is Laravel.
Oh yeah, that's right. So never mind. It'll be solved rather quickly.
Lordy.
That's good to know. When do you think the Docker containers will be released? Once it goes generally available?
Minutes.
Yeah, I think they have a build pretty quick.
Yeah, the Docker Hub has a build pipeline for all things PHP, so you can get it as soon as the code is published.
Oh, so there's already one for release candidate 1?
I'm sure.
I should try it out. I wonder what would happen on my code base. I got a question. I know you guys don't do a crap ton of unit testing, but this has come up a lot lately. Unit testing Laravel Eloquent models.
Mm-hmm.
So within PhoneBurner, we're moving away from, again, legacy code base, 15 plus years old, moving away from active record models because they were doing too much. And unit testing active record models is very hard to do because they are so tightly coupled to the database. How do you do that in Eloquent? How do you test these things correctly? Or do you just assume there's a database when you're testing models?
From what I understand, you're supposed to use SQLite populated with some
right, but you're still hitting a database at that point.
Yeah. The quick way of doing it has been, to answer your question, as far as I know, yes, you use some sort of database. It's in memory. SQLite is kind of the one everybody likes to do.
Yes, that's been one of the biggest things I've loved learning over the past few months or year is unit testing, how to break apart your objects better, not being so tightly coupled to the database. Mm-hmm. This is where repositories really come in, because you can mock a repository and not actually hit the database.
Mm-hmm.
But with Laravel facades, it just seems so hard to unit test things. And I'm not even trying to in Laravel right now. I'm just doing
Laravel, Eloquent you're talking about. Now, facades don't really factor into that, right?
They do. I don't know how to unit test code that uses facades because you're making static calls, which make it so difficult. Where the things I've been doing lately are creating very simple classes that themselves are easy to test, but you can also mock with dependency injection so that other classes that you are now unit testing become even easier to unit test. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to facades, it's where I'm just not getting it. I don't know how to do unit testing properly. And when I am code reviewing people that are writing tests or not necessarily testing, but trying to give advice on how to test, I get lost.
Yeah, I'm not a lot of help for you there.
I'm afraid. Yeah, I'm the same. Unfortunately, I know you're supposed to like mock them or something, but I don't see how teasing it makes any help. It hasn't helped me at all.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I mock all the time, but when it comes to facades / static calls, they are so difficult to mock. So
I think generally that's the reason that Laravel's tried to pull away from facades, is because it's hard to test. But
I think that's just one of the criticisms of facades in general. And there's also the argument that Laravel facades aren't true facades. We don't need to go down that path right now. But yeah. I think that's one of the issues.
Well, I think that's the power of them, is the fact that they're not true facades. There is an object behind them, but when it comes to unit testing, that's a whole different can of worms that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. And I'm slated to change my 5.7 Laravel app soon. I'm going to try to go straight to 8 via a rewrite, and I'm going to start via unit TDD. So I really need to understand this. So if you guys could do some research in the next week or two and tell me what to do.
No, don't try shift. Not for that.
I've only got a handful of endpoints.
Have you looked for post on this? I'm sure somebody's got some Laravel testing post out there. Yeah, I'll poke them. I'm sure there's stuff out there.
You really don't have to. That was supposed to be funny. You're supposed to laugh, not be like, okay, I'll do the work.
I actually took it as, Eric, you're my Laravel guy. Can you figure this out for me? And I was actually flattered, but whatever, screw you. You figure it out yourself.
Have you guys used?
I'll just not use Laravel. That's fine.
Dangerous territory there. Have you guys used Shift lately?
No, I haven't really had a need. I've been staying pretty current with Laravel, and even the jumps don't seem that hard.
So I did this 7 to 8 shift.
Did you see, before you talk about that, did you see JMac's announcement?
No.
Where Shift is finally making him enough money where it basically could supplement his income, which is fantastic.
That's kind of where I'm going with it, because the newest shift that I ran gave me a list of, I would say, 3 or 4 things that it didn't fix, that there were other shifts for that you could buy. Like it said, hey, I noticed you have PSR 0 namespaces. If you run this other $10 shift, it'll fix those. And I'm like, hey, you noticed them. Fix them. Like, you used to fix this stuff. Like, is the base level shift eventually just going to turn into, like, here's a list of shifts you need to buy to fix your app?
That's awesome. Good job, JMac.
Yeah, I'm not knocking it. It's just I was surprised that there's Shift Workbench, Shift PSR fixes. There's a Shift Help Center, which I think is a paid help thing.
Yeah, I think that's like a consultant thing. I think they actually do the shifts for. Yeah, I know he has one tier where he basically, and I don't know if it's him or he outsources it, but they do the shift for you. Yeah, there's a lot of value. I mean, there's a ton of value, especially if you don't have full-time developers or you don't have developers who've been working with Laravel as long as we have. There will always be a market for this until until Taylor decides to make the upgrade part of the install, there will be a market for Shift. And I don't see that happening anytime soon. So I think JMac is safe.
So yes, to answer your question, I'm not surprised that he's now making a full-time living off of Laravel Shift. There's definitely a lot of value. Like,
I don't know if you noticed. Have you seen Adam Wathan's? Adam Wathan has been sharing some of his financials around Tailwind, and it's absolutely insane.
Well, yeah, because Tailwind UI is the paid Tailwind UI is the paid branch of Tailwind, and he was saying that made $1 million.
Right, just that. And then he's got some courses out there and a few other things. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's sustainable. But that's damn.
That's
good.
Not why I drink. I love 9 to 5.
That's pretty damn good. Yeah, it's this might be me. I think JMac's got the better business model, and I'm happy. The more he focuses on it, the better it gets, and everybody wins in that situation. So I think.
Well, his business model is based on the inconsistency of Laravel. That's definitely a more stable business model.
I don't know if I completely agree with that. I mean, it's not the inconsistency. He just automates. It's not inconsistency. I don't agree with that.
It's inconsistency in the fact that Laravel is constantly changing the core framework. Where I think if you're using Zen, if you're using Zen framework, you're not.
Or Symfony.
Zen framework anywhere. Symfony. It's not like every time a new version comes out, all of a sudden you have to completely change your application.
Yeah, because let's be clear, what Shift does is it updates your code base to work with this year's version of Laravel. And there's no other frameworks out there that need that kind of babysitting.
And I think that comes down to a lot of the practices of so co-mingling or tightly bonding your classes to Laravel specifically versus architecting your application in a way where you can move from framework to framework.
Thank you for that beautiful segue. I was on
Of course.
I was on Reddit and I got furious. Because somebody had released a package to fetch weather data in Laravel projects. And I just...
Why would that make you furious?
Because fetching weather data from a weather API is the most easy, just gimme task you could possibly give a junior developer. And tailoring it specifically for Laravel is such a pointless endeavor when you could just call a new class. Now, I was made much happier later on finding an article from Matthias Novak that was about decoupling from frameworks. And this is a good article, and this is exactly what I wanted to see instead of weather for Laravel.
Mm-hmm. I think this goes down the road of how not to be so tightly coupled to Laravel. The Eloquent is so nice and easy, but there are so many drawbacks to it.
And I understand that camp. I mean, they're camps here, right? The argument is then why use Laravel? Right? If you're not gonna use some of the benefits of having Laravel, then why use Laravel? Why don't you use packages yourself? People use Laravel because to some degree they're going to couple to the framework. Yes,
and to some degree you should couple to the framework. I think that request handling, view handling, all of that stuff that's really well integrated and done perfectly fine, the core functions of what a framework should do should be handled the Laravel way if you're going to use Laravel, because that's how it's easiest read and easiest debugged. And
well, you're going to absolutely hate my next app because I'm going to propose to Laravel more specifically Livewire. I mean, my love for Livewire absolutely locks me into Laravel. I have no way around that. And you talk about coupling.
That's okay because the coupling that it does interconnects multiple. No, it interconnects multiple components so that your controllers interact with your views, interact with your Livewire templates. All of that stuff can communicate because they use these Laravel standards. But something like, let's say, for example, weather.
But it's absolutely dependent on Laravel now.
And that's okay.
I don't see the difference. I mean, I'm glad you're telling me that. But I
don't feel bad about yourself.
If somebody decides, I mean, there are so many Laravel packages that are just wrappers to other packages where people have thrown on a facade to it or just made it, made the syntax a little more Laravel.
And that's what I have a problem with, is these pointless wrapper packages that require me to fork the library because I want to run Laravel 8 and they require Laravel 5. And that's the only...
That's a real issue. I got you. Matter of fact, I submitted a pull request today. I was using a package today to write HTML to PDF. And there's a very popular Laravel package out there. And when I went to the package, right there on the README, it says PDF exporter for Laravel 5. Yep. I'm like, well, this isn't going to work. And then I started looking into the change logs, and I'm like, no. He's been updating this. It's actually compliant with Laravel 8. Same thing happened to me
today.
So I actually submitted a change request to his README file saying, hey, how about just dropping the number here and just say PDF exporter for Laravel.
Get those Hacktober requests in.
Oh man, have you seen some of the hate mail? Oh, well, jeez, the Twitter's not happy with.
Hold on for that 1 second. So to this issue, I'm hosting 4 forks of requirements for my application because the only thing that it needs is that number in the dev require to be bumped up a number.
Too selfish to commit.
These are all packages that are either labeled as abandoned or the pull request for Laravel 8 has been ignored or 7 has been ignored for a year.
Well, there you go. You build up your own little library of things to take care of.
Here's the problem: is that these are my repos, and I've forked them. I haven't forked them under a company account because our company uses Git Labs.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a company account.
I don't think it's not good practice. It's not good practice to have a dependency that's hosted by an employee.
Well, I mean, you can create an organization in GitHub. It doesn't cost you anything.
Diego Labs will gladly host.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, you're brilliant, John. I knew there's a reason I kept you around besides your savvy accounting skills. You have a home, Thomas. Diego Labs. You can embrace Diego Labs and let that be your open source. Just let it just be your udder of nutrition to the open source world that you want to deliver.
You almost had me till you went gross with it.
I have a tendency to do that. I go right up to the line and then I step over. I apologize.
Sapphire, it wasn't just your big toe over this time. It was like both feet
we
over.
have a GeoIP package that I keep updating to support the newest versions of Laravel. GeoIP is like a standardized call. It's a class that you just say, hey, give me the GeoIP data. And it gives it to you. This doesn't need to be Laravel bound. It doesn't have to have the Laravel string helper as one of its dependencies. It's just...
Then why are you still using it?
Because, as I was told earlier today, priorities. We have to work on our priorities. and we can't fix the things that frustrate the hell out of me just because they frustrate me. I'm not bitter.
I don't know. I get the argument. I think if you've made a decision to commit to the Laravel framework, you want to use Laravel packages, and you want to develop Laravel packages. I think if you're developing packages for Laravel, I do think you're selling yourself short.
Yes.
I think unless there's a specific reason for you to have that Laravel integration, I get that. Like the UUID package we have is specific to Laravel because it's dependent on certain things. It's actually dependent on the models in Laravel.
Right. Or go to basically everything that Spady does, or Spatty. He's extending the functionality of Laravel. He's creating a more advanced Laravel. But things like the weather, if you are writing a weather app or a weather fetching class and you limit yourself just to Laravel, you're alienating the other 50% of PHP developers or higher that don't use Laravel.
Are most of these Laravel most of these Laravel wrappers just a service provider?
Yes.
So that your application knows how to get to.
It's a class and a service provider.
I think that's the biggest. The biggest shortfall is not understanding dependency injection and making that work well. Because that's how you get to testability, is having that dependency injection piece. If you're relying on these facades, that becomes hard to test.
That's a valid point. I'll
and initially, when we're talking about Laravel 4, those service providers changed how we program fundamentally. Those service providers made it possible for other services to interact with each other on an autonomous level that we didn't have to configure. And that's where we got into this habit of writing service providers for everything we added to Laravel. But it's not necessary if you're not interacting with the Laravel framework in a unique way.
No, you can still use a service provider without Laravel.
Sure, but I mean the way that the Laravel service provider works was very new at the time. The way that it allows for interactive functionality between middleware and controllers was new. Yeah, because you could say this is my routing service provider, and it would go and use that routing service provider, and you had the contracts for it already set, and you followed these contracts.
See, to me, the service provider is all about interfaces. When I ask for a queue interface, I'm going to give you back Beanstalk because that's what we're using for queuing, or I'm going to give you back RabbitMQ because that's what we're using for queuing. And because of that interface, you have a common gateway to make that work. That's all the service provider does. But when it comes to unit testing, you can mock the interface. You don't have to mock Beanstalk. You don't have to mock RabbitMQ. It's like, I'm going to mock the interface, and I'm going to push that into whatever the service is, so that I can test that.
So that's what I'm saying, is that what Laravel did in Laravel 4 was gave you interfaces and functional classes for all of that kind of stuff. That was just a done deal. So if you needed to switch between queuing engines, it didn't matter which one you were switching to, as long as you held to the interface and your service provider said, I'm a version of this interface. So it was the combination of using that service provider functionality that existed as a core of PHP and adding in default interfaces for all of this functionality that had been built out to Laravel.
Okay. I don't want to move forward. I actually want to jump back if you guys are okay with it. I want to like JMac. I want to talk back to JMac again.
Okay. Because if it's JMac, I could talk about him all day. I
think JMac is the next like big business person in the Laravel community. Not that he isn't now, because I think he's sitting on a gold mine, and we've seen little sparks of that at conferences where he's talked about the analytics of all these shifts. I mean, this guy, I don't know if he is, but he could potentially be gathering so much data about projects, about the developers who work on those projects, about you know, dependability of projects, and really start to build up a database of metrics and the A plus developers. And I mean, I think he has a lot of good data there.
If he's keeping it and mining it. If he's realistically, I don't know his terms of service, but I don't think he's keeping repo data. I think it's
you're probably right. I know he has done the metrics at conference talks before of, hey, this percentage of people handle these requests incorrectly. This is what they're doing. I've seen those before.
Right. It would be fascinating to know what actual data is available.
Yeah.
It's also scary. It's also scary because, again, you're handing off your proprietary code base to some company, whether it's Shift or any other service where you're letting them have access to your proprietary code. Mm-hmm. It can be scary.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to touch on that because I think, yeah, I mean I can see JMac becoming a super valuable resource, especially for big, deep pocket corporations who are looking for fantastic developers and they don't want to have to go through this interview process. You could just say,
hold on, let me put together a doom and gloom card.
What?
That is a dark future you foretell.
All right. Before you do that, did you hear about the sponsor of this episode? No. Argus.2. It's an amazing service available to if you really want to monitor your cron jobs.
Are we to that phase now? We're gonna start selling it. I'm good with that. I'm happy. I have some time set aside this week, and I'm planning on doing some.
The people that are using it are DiegoDev clients that are using it because they're our guinea pigs. Rave about it. I really can't believe the response that we've gotten to it, and I'm super excited about that. So.
Yeah, I like to see. I would like to see that excitement translate to, because we built it because we saw a need for it, but I didn't realize it was going to bring so much peace of mind to the client that we have using it. It's to your point. It's like, yeah, you can't stop talking, can't stop saying enough nice things about it.
Most businesses have some sort of like billing that's on a cron schedule. I mean, there's probably hundreds of other things that are happening. PhoneBurner, for example, has, I want to say, well over 100 scripts running via cron that would benefit from monitoring like this. But billing obviously is the most crucial. You want to make sure that it starts and it ends and that it runs when it's supposed to run. And building internal tools is not always easy. Having your own internal tool that monitors something is bound to be flawed. So having something that says, hey, you're supposed to run every day, and you haven't told me you're running in the past 25 hours, I'm going to alert you. Again, it's not necessarily that there's a problem. It's, hey, just go look and make sure. So
yeah,
I'm excited about it, and I think it's a beneficial application.
Do you have a Laravel specific integration?
Yeah. John's skin starts to crawl every time I have to walk him through the code base.
No,
but
the application.
code.
The application is written in Laravel. He means for other people to integrate into their system. And
is that what you're saying, Thomas? Sorry, no.
Something like
but
that.
we
Yeah.
are thinking about writing a. We are thinking about writing a package for Laravel, because Laravel has the before ping then ping function in their scheduler. And when we built the service, we were making it independent of everything. Basically, if you had curl on the command line, you could use the service. That was our goal, and we accomplished that. But we realized with Laravel, we could actually potentially offer more benefit to that if we had a package for them. So we've been talking about the ability to be able to pass error messages back to the job, so that if for example, if you have an overlap, we could pass back an error saying, hey, this is overlapping with another job that you didn't want it to overlap with. And then they could take that information and do something with it. So we are looking to develop a package specifically for Laravel and any other framework out there that might have a similar setup to manage schedules. But it's cool. I'm happy with the simplification we have of it. Is, I think, very interesting. When we first started designing it and I took my initial crack at it, my complexity was way off the charts. And I had answers for everything, but it also required a lot of input from, not a lot of input. It did require the person inputting it to understand cron schedules and to define a cron schedule, make sure that cron schedule stayed current. So if you change your cron schedule on your server, you have to come back to the service and change the cron schedule. And John came up with much more eloquent, simpler solution. It has its limitations, and we understand that. And we're working through some of those limitations. But now it's just basically, hey, I have this job. It should run twice a day, 3 times a day, whatever, twice a month, whatever it is. Go create, monitor this for me. And it's really that simple. We generate an endpoint for you to hit, and that's it. So this implementation, I call it, the simpler implementation. I'm not saying that we won't, if there's enough interest in this product and we get enough requests, that we won't have another tier that allows more granular control over the configuration. That's very possible, and we've already worked out that solution. I already know what that solution looks like. We already started coding that solution, and then we pulled back. So yeah, it's cool. It's fun. It's been fun to do. It took longer than I thought, but it's been fun to do.
So yeah, Argus.to, go sign up. Hopefully we'll have billing available soon. Because you want to pay.
We can let the beta testers, and we have a wait list. You can jump on the wait list, and maybe we'll do that this weekend. Let me see where we're at. I'm putting together the support, little support bot. If I can get the support bot done, that's my last thing.
I don't care about the support bot. What is a support bot? What's the support bot gonna do? We'll talk about that.
Give people a way to tell us there's a problem.
If you're looking for other ways to support the podcast, there is always Patreon.
Thank you, patrons.
Yes.
We need music. You need music for the Patreon piece.
But if you really want to support the podcast, Argus.to, and then become a Patreon.
To be clear here, 2 out of 3 of us make money on Argus. 1 of us doesn't. Yet. It could get huge. I could get hired on as the Argus guy. Argus 2.
I mean, I could bring up the fact that...
Thank you to all of our Patreons. I hope everyone's gotten all of their Patreon rewards. I'm glad to hear that Buttery Crumpet has gotten his reward. And yeah, Buttery, when you do get a picture of that, send it to us. We'll throw it up on the Patreon page.
Yeah.
Or anyone,
sure.
if you have a pet that would look excellent modeling the PHP Ugly lanyard, we would love to have a picture of that.
It's a keychain. It would be like a very
micro
small
lanyard.
pet.
I don't know. It's kind of lanyard sized for most pets.
We had some friends over yesterday. Again, going back to Linda and Ben, who I talked about with the beer with at the beginning, because they're fans as far as they watch for like 5 or 10 minutes just to make fun of me and say that they don't understand what we're talking about. I gave her a few keychains for her kids yesterday, and then of course my kids are like, oh, "What are those?" So I gave them, and they figured out if you put 2 together, you can turn them into handcuffs.
Oh, great! That's a lesson quickly learned. Yeah, I still have a stack of them here in Colorado, so those will be going out to some lucky kids on Halloween.
Sure, they'll be happy to get that. All right, is that it? Are we wrapping up? Are we
well,
done?
I'm curious because
you're still in the Patreon slide there. You need better transitions. Come on, man.
I have
Dreams
2
coming
posts
true.
on our Trello board about HTTP 3.
That's what did I tell you, Eric?
That I'm gonna bring it up.
Someone's gonna bring it up, and I haven't fully read it. I just happened to be cruising around. I'm like, HTTP 3? I didn't know that was a thing. All of a sudden, it's a thing. It's gonna be available soon, and it's already slated to be available in Safari 14. It's going to be automatically enabled. It's already available in Chrome and Firefox via a flag, so it's disabled by default, but you can turn it on. And I still don't even know what it does.
Well, yeah, what's it bringing to the table?
All I know is HTTP 2 broke the application I work on. So I'm not even using H2, and all of a sudden there's H3 available. I'm assuming H3 is the same shorthand as H2 because that's what people are calling it. So now I'm scared to try and upgrade to that.
There's one more thing I'm afraid.
So there's one thing in here that I think is interesting, or 2 things, I suppose. Stream multiplexing and per stream flow control, which would be relevant for sites like Twitch, YouTube, etc., where you want to send out one stream to X number of IP addresses at the same time. Right now, leaving your data center is one stream per host requesting it.
But they've been talking about that for years with like multiplexing.
Well,
not necessarily over a protocol like this.
That's the thing, is that multiplexing is at a lower level on the OSI platform and has to be implemented by the application level to function properly. So we've had multiplexing in IPv4 for decades. But what we haven't had is multiplexing in applications that actually use it. Most of the places where you see multiplexing currently used is internal telephony systems for offices and stuff like that. But properly deployed, you could see multiplexing really doing something on the wider scale of the internet. So I'll have to look into it. I mean, it is the link that you gave here is a draft memo, which is hundreds of pages long.
Yeah, I was like, I started looking through. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to make it through this before the show.
I'm just not going to make it through it.
No. Ever.
But that would be interesting to see multiplexing actually work, so that you could start your own YouTube if you wanted to, and not have to worry about excessive bandwidth costs. And then per stream flow control. I don't know. Maybe that's a server side thing. I don't.
See, I assume the multiplexing thing died years ago because, to me, that was all. The server was sending out a stream of something, whether it was a broadcast or some sort of video that everyone was watching at the same time. The goal was one stream out of my data center, it gets to my various network endpoints, and then from there spreads out to the people that need it. So,
and one of the reasons it never really took off on the web is because it's very easy to spoof multiplexing into causing router storms, and that's bad.
Yeah, that makes sense. But to me, it also died when you got to things like SiriusXM and all these other things where people aren't listening to the same thing at the same time. It's you start it, 10 minutes after I do, you're going to get a different stream than I'm getting.
I think SiriusXM is a bad example because that's literal multiplexing. That's just a satellite stream.
It's narrowcasting / they also go over the internet where you can pause and all that crap. So, but I guess that's more local as well.
Yeah,
probably.
We'll see.
I'm sorry for a bad example, but the point was narrowcasting.
Yeah, that'll teach you to put cards on Trello.
Yeah. I thought we got to the end of the show. I'm like, okay, we're gonna wrap up. I'm not gonna have to talk about this bastard.
Well, I've got one last one to close us out. They've discovered how to detect deepfakes by checking for a pulse.
Do explain. This is interesting.
Have you ever seen, when you're getting your blood drawn, they have a thing that flashes a green picture of your veins on your arm so they can quickly find it? It's called a vein finder. Clever name.
I've never seen it. Nope.
I don't think they ever do that for
not blood pressure. It's you're getting your blood taken.
Okay.
Still never seen it.
If you go pull up an image on Google Images, you'll see it. It's just a green square that shows where your veins are on your arm.
If we only had a scene that you could share that with everybody watching the stream right now, that would be just so awesome.
Anyway,
yes.
Continue. How does that help with deepfakes? Because
I don't have that scene working right now.
You would think that with the deepfake, where you're putting the deepfake, the person behind still has a pulse.
The person behind does, but not the replaced person. So what happens is the movements in your vascular structure are so fast and so small that if you look at one frame to the next, you can actually detect them, even from video. And
but how do you detect pulses?
Because it works. Trust me. It's enough. It shows up enough that a machine learning algorithm can see it. A person can't see it, but machine learning algorithms can definitely see it. So they've created a machine learning algorithm that looks for these pulses on video and says, hey, we watched this for 30 seconds and he had a flat pulse the entire time. He was no inflection or whatever in his bloodstream. So we think it's a fake. And as with all machine learning things, I mean, it's a black box. You don't know exactly how it's determining these things, but you train it with deepfake videos and with real videos, and it starts to get more and more accurate and say, okay, this is how it's working. This is a real one or this is a fake one. So,
but where are they getting the pulse from? Because the fakes that I've seen seem like it's really just the face. So you would think the neck where the pulse would be being seen
it's visible
is still
on your facial structure. It really is.
Via a video. Man, now you got me. You're so full of crap.
No, I have the link right here. Shiner.
Now I have to go.
Shiner on security. Researchers have developed an AI to detect circulation-induced shifts in color. So
yeah, that'll work for about a month until they
Yeah,
figure
I
out how
know.
to work around that.
But hey, at least for that month, we can be sure that deepfakes aren't
They,
real.
they even end with that. Of course, this is an arms race. I expect deepfake programs to become good enough to fool Fake Catcher in
Yeah.
a few months.
Yeah,
All right. Based on that, I'm not reading the article.
You just read the end of the article.
Hey, Thomas, I'm surprised you didn't have another doom and gloom on here. Amazon has basically completely alleviated your concern of your microwave mapping your house.
How'd they manage
Did you see
this?
They released a little indoor drone that will fly around your house and map your house.
That's
for you.
not Amazon.
I
No,
thought that
that's
was Amazon. It's a little.
Oh God, it's not Simply Safe. It's the other internet-based security.
I'm pretty sure it's Amazon that has a little security drone it's a security drone. So when it hears a noise in your house and it doesn't detect anybody home, it will fly to the noise and see what's going on. But everybody's already starting to speculate, or it'll fly around your house and say, "Hey, I noticed you're running low on toilet paper. Do you want me to order you toilet
Ring,
paper?"
Which might be Amazon.
That's Google.
Is it? It's Ring's
Ring is
always.
No, Ring is Amazon. Yeah, Ring is Amazon. You're correct.
Yes, they bought it last year.
Oh,
Yes, it is.
Is it? Really?
Yeah. Nest is Google, and Nest has their own Ring device, but Ring is Amazon. Yes. So yeah, you don't have to now. You can rest comfortably that your house is totally being mapped by Amazon, and you're safer
Yes, I believe
because
Stephen
of it.
Colbert described this as a whole new way to harass your cat.
Okay, I think that's it. Am I? Is this a false start?
No.
False thing again? Are you guys
You're
gonna
right.
come up with something else? Episode 208 is in the books.
208.
208.
Yeah.
Isn't that what it said? I feel like that's what it said.
I was saying it with you. I was being a cheerleader for you.
If you listen to our audio podcast, feel free to join us Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Pacific until apparently 10:30 Pacific, where we record live. I'm going to try to talk to guys and let me do a little Vim after the show. So if you're watching, stick around. Maybe I'll show you my Vim configuration. I'm hoping to show John some stuff here. But that's it. Show's over. 208. I'm Eric.
I'm Tom. Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly. All right. Kill recordings. No local.
Store that up.
For a while.
Well, where the hell's my local at? That's horrible. Local?
You haven't had a local recording in months.
Haven't needed one in a while. That's true. So Thomas, switch over to my scene. I want to see if I can share my window, and if I can share my window, I do want to show John this. So I'm gonna stop sharing your screen. I'm gonna share my screen. Oh, I can't share an individual app. That's fine. I'll share a window. That's fine. I don't care. So am I sharing right now?
Yep,
You are talking about adding music to the Patreon page. Like, that's not my job. Something I could just drop in and do. I see you sharing on Skype, but it's not showing up in OBS. It's still your cam.
It's not showing up in OBS. Well, that's good to know. Okay. Well, then I'm sorry for the people hanging out on the stream. You won't
Well, I
see
can
this,
change your NDI
but I did.
to use that.
Give it a shot. I would be curious if that works. I would actually like to see the quality of it. So while he's doing that,
I did it. It's done.
Oh, is it streaming? So this is what I wanted to show you guys. I mean, Thomas, I know you're not a big Vim guy, but this might interest you. So I have this Command and Conquer, right? And it's the whole IntelliSense stuff that's in a lot of these things. So,
right.
You know, like jumping to definitions now is super simple. You know, it's just a GD. I mean, this happens to all be in the same file. I wasn't going to get too fancy here, but I mean, jumping to definitions, you know, it's whatever. You could always do that in Vim. It was through this tag system. John and I talked about last week a little bit. It was a little challenging. The cool thing I love. So, let's say I do blah here, right? And start with this. And so obviously it has autocomplete. Let's just stick with the count hit. So if I go with the count hit and I select it, see how it pops up and tells you, you know, everything about that. This is a custom function we wrote, and it gives you all the information. So had I been skipping through the autocomplete, I could have, you know, done all of this. But as I start to fill it out, it continues that. So the days now is underlined. So if I give it days and hit comma, you know, it tells you what variables to put in. So that's what I was saying. Like a lot of that stuff that's in Storm is actually in this IntelliSense. I did try to do. So obviously, I didn't. It's complaining because I don't have the right amount of arguments. Whatever. I'm not too worried about it. I mean, there's so much good stuff here. Like I have that lazy git that I use. I have that actually integrated in here. So if I just do this, my lazy git window pops up. It's an overlay to my Vim. So this is actually not even a Vim plugin. This is the lazy git command line tool. So I can actually do. I actually have so I've always used Nerdtree, right? I mean, this is what I've always used to do my spinning around. Boop. I mean, nothing to see here. But Command and Conquer actually has something called, I forget what it is. They have a file navigator as well, and you know it's kind of cool because again, it shows you, well, first thing you can kind of see the Git integration, so it kind of shows you where there have been some changes, and also gives you an idea of how big the file is. Now that's part of Command and Conquer, but then on top of that, I have Ranger. So Ranger I can actually pull up and I can actually peek in the file and see what's in the file. And Ranger, again, this is an application. This isn't even a Vim plugin. I'm using a plugin to access it, but this is just basic Ranger on my system. I can run this from the command line anywhere. And this actually gives me a peek inside the files that I'm looking at. So, I don't know, man. It's cool. It doesn't do the... I was very happy to get this working, but it doesn't do the refactoring suggestions like we talked about last week, which I think you and I can both agree there's a pretty big benefit to it. I still live
by those, man.
I love this, man. I am so loving this.
I still, every time I see those line numbers, get so fucking annoyed.
I don't understand what annoys you about it. So now,
because I go to tell you, go to line 5. You're like up or down. And I gotta say go 5 up, and then you start moving. Then it's not the same 5 up anymore, and it's just like
no. If you say 5 up, I did 5K. Boom, I'm up. Now if I want to go to the ending curly bracket, say 17 down, 17 down. Boom. I mean, it's so simple. I don't understand.
It's not when I'm actually actively trying to help you with things. It's always been a pain in the ass.
Well, that might just be the fact of who you're working with, not the tools you're working with.
Ouch. That's hurtful.
It's not.
Yeah. So I don't know.
We didn't even talk about regex today.
No, we didn't. That would have been a good topic.
Well, you guys have a regex problem.
Something too. I had a regex misunderstanding that John clarified for me. What did you help me with, Thomas? You helped me with something as well.
Yeah, all your Flatpak stuff and what was the other thing?
No, there was a coding issue you helped me with.
I don't think I helped. I was helping you with data grip.
Oh, fucking data grip, man. I did want to talk about that. That thing is pissing me.
You had a JavaScript issue too, but that was...
I actually figured that one out. Yeah, that data grip is pissing me off.
Well, you didn't pay for it yet, did you?
I'm not... Yeah, I have the full package, so it's just included. So yeah, and when I come here, you're saying when you click here on the table, you do a right click.
That's a database, not a table.
I'm sorry, you're right. Yeah, database is what we're talking about. So what Thomas is talking about is I did an export, or actually I was given an export of a database of a table that I needed to import. I knew how to do it from the command line, and I knew how to do it.
Yeah, import data from file. Just go down 6 lines.
That is not that import. That is a CSV import. So this is actually the file here. So I hit that. This is just CSV. This is not a SQL import. That's you made a sane assumption there, because yes, that's totally what I thought it would be.
What if you add? Wait, open that back.
Actually,
open that up in add format.
Yeah, there's a plus up there.
Click on add format.
Where do you here?
Yep.
It just has another. It just allows you to customize these fields here. Yeah. Yeah.
So I use SQLGZs for everything anyways, which I doubt DataGrip would know how to handle. Do you know SQLGZs at all?
No, what's that?
If you export a .SQL, if you dump it a database or whatever and then gzip it, you can use a tool called zcat in the command line. And it unzips it while it cats it.
But all you're doing is piping.
No. It unzips it while it cats it, so it doesn't add it to the hard drive. It doesn't extract it to the hard drive or into memory. It extracts it in a stream. And cats it.
That's not fixing what I need.
So view tool Windows database.
Yeah, that's going to bring us to where we're at. So that
keep going. Right.
Tool Windows database, that brings you here.
Right click a data source. So Argus.
Boom.
Run SQL script.
There's no run SQL script here. This is where Thomas left me off as well. So there's SQL scripts. This is just a generator request DLL.
Okay, try this. Try view tool windows files. Select the file.
Well, this is within the database project. The file isn't here. The file is stored somewhere else. I mean, maybe I can open it. I don't know. Let me see. Attach directory. I don't want to attach a directory.
No, do that. Attach a directory. Attach the directory where the file is.
Well, the file is in my downloads.
Yeah, so add your downloads directory.
You're going to tell me this, and you're going to piss me off. Okay, it actually lets me select the actual file. Let's try that. So I select the file.
There's the whole directory.
Nope, it has my whole directory. That's awesome.
Yeah, so now right-click that, or double-click it.
Okay. Double-click it.
So and then so then if you right-click on that, you should be able to say execute.
Negative, Sparky.
All right, then right-click the file.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Left. Hold on. One more time. Left-click the file.
Okay.
Control
Control
enter.
Control enter.
Yes.
Okay. Just opened it up. Good job.
Now select Control A. Select the whole file.
Just stop. I could have. I could
do
it for the command line. What?
There we go. What he was saying.
Oh,
Create a connection session in the session list.
All right. Right click on the database again on the right click on the dev. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right click on. Go to SQL scripts. Nope, that's back where we were.
Yeah. I can't believe this is this hard to do in this tool that's designed for databases.
Right click Devil Box. Yeah.
Devil Box? Oh, looks like this. It looks like the same thing.
Go to SQL scripts again.
There's source editor. Oh, there's run. There's
run SQL script, and that should give you a file picker.
But how's it going to know what database to run it against? Let's see. Whoa. It just ran it, and I didn't even select the database. That's not good.
No database selected. Because you need to have a use Argus at the top of it.
I do. There is a use Argus up there, actually. I don't even know why this opened.
That's console. That was already open.
Right. Okay. Right click Argus again and make sure that it doesn't have an SQL script. Yeah, there it does. It does.
It does have one.
That wasn't there before.
That wasn't there a second ago.
You're not crazy. That wasn't there before. All right, click it and do it.
I'm going back on YouTube to check if it was there before.
I am too, actually. All right. There was a little Vim for those of you who've been interested in Vim. Oh, there's Buttery NeoVim. COC is my bread and butter. Super nice tool, right? This is what I'm trying to tell these guys, man.
But so is PHP Storm.
Vim and COC, it changes the freaking game, man. It changes it. I got my jump to working. Jump to definition. Do a little Control O. So again, here's my control button. Control O, Control I to bounce between the two. Yeah, I use my control all the time, man. You guys just don't understand. Here's something cool.
Hey, before that, go back to data grip. I'm curious. I can't see well enough on the YouTube screen. Right click on Argus.
Yeah.
Where is that?
So it's under import data, full text search. Now it says run SQL script.
So now I have to see if it can run GZs.
I doubt it. I would be surprised.
I wouldn't.
Actually, I cannot read that, but it looks like it was there before.
How did we not see that?
I don't know. I'm so confused.
So here's the thing, Thomas. Check this out. So if I'm at the beginning of the line and I need to change this section right here, right? I mean, all you have to do is hit CI parentheses.
You're still trying.
Awesome. It's not working. That's weird. I wonder if I messed something up. Let me see if it works over here. 12 down. CI parentheses. Oh, something's wrong with my keyboard. That's not good. Let me see.
You gotta be with parentheses.
Oh, that does work. The parentheses don't work. Interesting.
Yeah.
Does that work?
It does not accept.
The parentheses used to work. CI. Well, that does work up here too. Why
you're saying parentheses? You're saying parentheses, but you mean single quotes?
No, I was going for this here. I was going for total hits. Single quotes work. That's what I just did. So I can do up here.
Oh.
CI single quote, and that works. That's interesting. I didn't realize that doesn't work anymore. Huh. Can I do CI bracket? No, I can't. Wow, when did that stop working? Huh, interesting. So you don't use your control key, huh? Interesting. So right now, like, if I hit Control V and go down, it does that like that
multi-row
select.
select.
How often do you really use that?
I use it a lot.
Rarely. I mean, because now if I do like for this, if I would just do change surrounding, boom boom like that. So I wouldn't even use it for that. I just do change surrounding single to double, and that works in PHP Storm too.
And then period.
So wait a minute, does that work?
Oh my
Storm?
goodness. Oh my
Control
god.
V? Oh, it does. I haven't been using this in Storm.
Trump and Melania both tested positive for coronavirus.
You're fake newsing
it. He
it.
tweeted it.
You can't be serious.
I am not
right now.
kidding. Holy shit.
If you watch the stream, Trump says he and First Lady have tested positive for coronavirus.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, that could easily kill him.
You mean literally kill him?
No,
or
literally
literally
kill him. He's 87. Yes.
Yeah, but
now,
I mean,
but now I can't help but wonder: is he saying that?
No, because Hope Hicks. Hope Hicks got it.
That's right.
That's why he got tested.
It did come out that she
unfucking real.
That's pretty crazy.
And for some reason, his Twitter replies are full of Aramaic text. I don't know why.
Where's your? So you're saying if I go to his Twitter, I'll see it? What's his Twitter?
Yeah.
Real Donald Trump?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like full.
I only see one.
I see hundreds.
Oh no! I see a bunch actually.
And if you translate them, it says, "Your sinful soul is beyond salvation, and you do not know peace and pain, only the cold of emptiness." I mean, it's.
I'm definitely not a Trump
thousands
supporter, but
it's thousands of tweets.
It's probably automatic. Like, it probably happens.
It doesn't. I've never seen it before.
Can we talk? Can we not bury the lead here? This has got to be pretty impactful.
Yeah, because he has to quarantine for 14 days at least, and it means that the debates are off. The next two debates.
Well, the next debate is vice presidents.
No, but there's supposed to be two more presidential debates.
Yeah, but the debate next week is vice president. Then they still were deciding on a date for the next presidential debate. So
no, they were already determined. They weren't waiting as of the other night.
I guess I should stop.
I am following this closely.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. Don't get us banned from Twitch. I was already reading some speculation that he had tested positive and he was trying to figure out how to spin it. They must not have figured out how to spin it. Damn, my wife is asleep. I'm going to have to wake her up. John, you ready for some Rocket League? Thank you, all of our fans and Patreons, and Self-promoters. All right, guys. Have a good night. Bye.